Welcome back to the coverage of YCS Düsseldorf. It's being crunch time right now. We're in round number 8 out of 9 rounds we're playing today. It's also getting a little bit late. It's almost 9 p.m. on the clock. We got 2 players here that want to make day 2 or they want to go to bed. Those are the 2 options they got. Because both of these guys are actually on the bubble. So if they lose this match, they're kind of out of the tournament. Let's bring them in. Let's not waste any more time. In the red corner, we got Marcel Brunner from Germany. Hello, hello, how are you doing?
Hi, fine, and you?
Yeah, I'm still running strong. I'm not feeling it. How are you feeling about your tournament so far?
I think it's okay. The last time I played was in June on Nationals, so yeah.
Not too bad then. All right. How did you prepare for the event?
I didn't prepare for the event.
Okay, so that's one possible explanation for your record. What were the 2 losses like?
One time I lost against my deck, and the other time Thunder Dragons had everything. So.
All right, so let's hope you're not going to play against Thunder Dragons here. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
His opponent for this round is Cormac from Ireland. Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Doing okay, thank you very much.
You also got 2 losses. How did those happen?
One of those losses was to me misplaying a little bit, unfortunately, and the other one was just to my opponent opening up insane.
You still seem to be in very high spirits, so what do you do after you've taken that loss, and especially when you say you misplayed, how did you motivate yourself for the next round?
I feel it's not a great thing to put yourself into a bit of a hole in your head after you've lost a round. I just kind of put it out of my mind, and then I just focus on the next round.
All right. So did you put in a lot of hours playtesting for this event, or did you also come unprepared?
I put a decent amount of hours in. I came to this event with like 4 decks in my bag, and I kind of just rolled a dice on the night before to decide which one I was going to play, to be honest.
And how happy are you with your choice so far?
It's been doing well so far. I'm here right now, so that's something for now, I suppose.
All right. How are you feeling about the feature match?
A little bit nervous, but I think I'll be okay.
All right. Please have a seat as well. So both these players still very high spirits. We got 2 dice here. If you were so kind to please roll the dice so we can see who's going to go first. High roll. Okay, that's the agreed way. Marcel rolls a 5. And Cormac's got 8. So you can choose to go first.
You can go first.
All right. Cormac wants Marcel to go first. The stage has been set. Our players are ready. We just have to mic them up so they can't hear anything except for our table judge and each other. With that said, let's go to Daniel and Marcello on commentary.
Hey guys, welcome to round 8, the penultimate round of today at YCS Düsseldorf. We have 2 really interesting decks here. We're just waiting for them to be finished getting mic'd up.
Exactly.
But as we saw, Cormac chose to go second.
Which is, to be fair, something we have seen a lot more today.
Yeah.
We have seen it 3 times, and we could have seen it a 4th time, but the guy wanted to go second, lost the die roll. And we have to say that's a huge change from YCS Milan, where we had players winning the die roll, peaking first all the match.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I mean, the shift there is clearly due to the Forbidden and Limited list. Getting rid of cards like Gumblar Dragon means that you can now go second without being afraid that you weren't going to have a hand to play with.
If you're here watching, try and guess what do you think Cormac is playing if he chose to go second. He's playing 40, that's what I can tell you.
You have 4 different options.
Yeah.
You can choose Orchest, you can choose Burning Abyss, you can choose Lunalight, and what's the 4th option?
Necros?
Necros.
Yes.
Necros is actually a pretty cool deck. I've seen some interesting builds going around. I'd like to see it do some stuff here. But
they have the red phones on. If you guess correctly, the winner is Lunalight.
Lunalight
so
in the blue corner.
Exactly.
Pendulum.
And Pendulum
in the red corner.
Yeah. So something interesting I would like to talk about is that Cormac prepared for the event, and he obviously followed the past months where Rafael Nevin won YCS Chicago playing Lunalight, which was basically unknown up until then for the majority of players.
Yeah, so Cormac is actually from my local area.
Okay.
And so Vladis was actually the person who had kind of discovered that it was possibly a deck. So just coming to Tuesday locals, there were quite a few cases where we were all playing against a Lunalight deck. So it's actually been on the radar of the Irish scene since the start of January.
Okay.
So Cormac's actually quite familiar with it. He would have helped Vladis in a certain amount of theory, I would assume.
Nice.
So he should be quite comfortable on the deck.
And on the other hand, though, Marcel said he hasn't played in a while. He didn't prepare much. So my question is, would he even know about Lunalight if he didn't follow it?
That is an interesting question.
It could be that he doesn't even know what the cards do.
So it might not matter because
Sure.
Pendulum, when you're on a going first strategy, you can be quite ignorant to what your opponent's doing.
Definitely.
The thing is here, Lunalight is really good at dealing with people not caring about what it's doing because it has so much redundancy in what it's doing. Its strategy is able to just recur things again and again. For example, it has its the Tiger Pendulum monster, where it will attempt to return a card, and if you destroy it, it just does that action anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ability to, I don't care that you have a board set up.
Exactly, but if there is one deck that you might regret letting go first, it could be Pendulum.
Yeah, for sure.
We know, as I said, I played it in the past. It can have both the rank up openings with Kali Yuga and Azathoth, depending on the matchup. You can go for Abyss Dweller with negations.
Exactly.
So it's definitely quite a good deck, an explosive deck.
And the thing is that Kali Yuga is a real big problem for the Lunalight deck. You don't really have much you can do. You can Kaizu your opponent and hope that that solves the problem. And additionally, the builds that I've seen tested for the Lunalight deck, you are able to play a build where you're just Azathothing your opponent anyway. So that was one of the builds that was tiered before Chicago. So we see that Cormac is not playing those cards in his main deck.
At least not in the main deck. And the thing is, as we said, the Pendulum deck can play a lot of different stuff. He can do Apex Avian. He can use even the new Bottle Load Synchro, which is amazing in the deck for having multiple negations over the turns. And
Borload Savage Dragon is a really standout synchro monster. I don't think we've seen anything as impactful since like Omega, I think. And Cyframe Lord Omega is impactful enough that it's now at 1 on our list.
But then, before walking into the match, let's just take a look at how the situation for deck breakdown changed over the weekend. So, when we started the day, we had, as we said, Salamangreat, top spot, 300 and more people playing it, and just a very diverse field. But now we go into round 8, and let's see how it changed.
So we can see that Salamangreat is still maintaining its majority.
Exactly.
Its lead over Thunder Dragons has lessened, or has actually increased. So it's proportionately, there are slightly more Salamangreats, I believe.
But yeah, the big change is Subterror going quite better. Essentially, it seems like out of the rogue decks which are in this list, which I would say are Subterror, Altergeist, and True Draco. It seems like Subterror is the one doing the best, because at the beginning of the day, it was actually the lowest out of them.
Yes, it has the highest conversion. There's small differences in numbers, but I do think Subterror has a really good matchup against things like Sky Striker.
Exactly.
And also just people are less familiar with Subterror. Like I could easily see 1 or 2 Subterrors making top 64 at this event.
Sure.
It's a super interesting deck. We do see that Crusadia has now been replaced with Orcust.
And that makes me happy because, as I said before, Orcust is my deck for this event. I really love it, and it seems like the few people that were playing it are doing really well with it. Anyway, we are here with the Pendulum versus Lunalight matchup, both of which are included in the other category. So let's just go to the match and see how this plans out. It's gonna be really interesting to see this in action, and the thing is,
so the more important question is, okay, we're cutting over to the game now, I believe.
Okay, let's just go and we can keep talking.
So
there.
you chose to play the. When did you make that decision?
It was.
We have our game. We have a Curtain Raiser. That's a great start for a Pendulum deck.
It's
and
definitely an amazing
Cerberus.
opener, and you can see that he has also the Cerberus, which is another extender. So opening double extender is really good in this deck, and is definitely gonna be a really good hand. He has the Pendulum Call, which is basically super important right now because the key card of the deck is Harmonizing. Because basically what you want to go for, if you play the rank up version, is you go for 2 level 7s, go for the Odd Dice Rebellion, but instead of bringing out Vortex, you bring out the Rebellion,
Yes. Yeah.
so that you can rank up into Kali Yuga. So let's see what he wants to do. He, of course, doesn't know the matchup, but do you assume that everything that lets you go first is weak to Abyss Dweller? I'd say that's a fair assumption.
I think that is a very fair assumption.
Because
Again-
even Lunar Light is pretty weak against it, right?
You lose the ability to activate Perfume and stuff, which
Yeah.
can be quite relevant. The Perfumes in Cormac's hand could be very strong here.
Exactly.
Perfume is probably the kind of standout card of the deck.
Yeah, something important to mention is that Lunar Light Perfume, as you can see, has a slightly different text because the word Luna and Light are separate.
Yes.
Which means that you can't get it with the yellow Merton.
Yes, it is a Luna Light card as opposed
Exactly.
to a Luna Light card. Which is an interesting distinction. So, here's something. I was playing against Pendulum at the weekend.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point in their combo, on the Electromite, they are incredibly vulnerable. This was a pretty good opening, right? But
Sure.
even if somebody were to, say, Ogre or Veiler the first effect
Yeah.
of Electromite, how do you recover from there?
It really depends on your ends, because it was one of the reasons why I was playing it a little different, and I had like Sky Blaster in my deck, and it was quite a different deck. The thing about Pendulum is that it's really consistent. You have a lot of Pendulum calls, at least 3. You can play Duelist Alliance to play even more copies,
Yeah.
which is usually the case. So the negation surely matters, but I agree with you that after Salamangreat became a deck, Anthrops basically came back. Before, they were not as popular, like in Chicago. You didn't really see many Anthrops outside of maybe Ash Blossom.
For sure.
So now it's definitely harder to play the Pendulum deck, but it's still quite difficult to deal with. Just because it's bringing more stuff every turn.
Yeah, so
So
what would your ideal end board be with this?
the thing
deck
is,
of yours?
surprisingly, Marcel is not playing any Phantom Knight card, which was the trend for any Pendulum deck, and he's relying on a more like old style of Pendulum. He's playing the Magicians, he's not even playing Apex Avian, so he's just going for the regular negations, and something cool about his deck is that he's playing Guard Dragon LP.
So this might be the whole less preparation thing that he mentioned earlier.
Definitely.
because-
It seems like it's a very old deck, to be fair. But the only thing he did was play an Morphage Sloth,
Sure.
which is just like the Goliath. Same effect. You can special summon from the extra deck. And that would be really good against Lunar Light. It basically shuts down the entire deck.
Yeah.
But
I mean, ending on a floodgate against the Luna Light deck is quite
Yeah.
powerful.
And the thing that's cool about Amorphage Slot is that you can Pendulum summon it. So even after you deal with it, it's coming back. So you need to
Yes.
be prepared against it. And that's what we're going to see here. I think it's going to shut down basically the entire end from
Could be a
Cormac.
really big issue for Cormac. 'Cause-
Especially because, yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't have any spell cards to interact with a board. That said, top deck Gamma Seal is a good solution to most problems.
Definitely.
So that's what Cormac is probably hoping for here, is
Yeah.
just access to a Kaiju. So we're going to bring up the new
Warlord.
Warlord. Yeah.
Yeah.
Warlord Savage Dragon.
Such a
of all,
good card.
Art
It's-
is amazing.
Yeah,
And the
first of
effect is
all,
good too.
essentially it's a negation, it's a generic level 8 synchro. As you can see, Electromite is in the spell and trap zone. That should already be like an alarm that something is not right, and that's because Borrelord equips it, and then it has negation up to the link. So right now it can negate 2 cards. Not in the same turn, but during 2 turns.
Yeah. So we scale Moonlight Tiger. We're seeing another danger effect. Seeing a lot of dice rolls today. We get a 4. Sending Yellow Martian to the graveyard. So Nessie will summon. And That's the great thing about the Danger Engine. It means you can play less of your answer cards, similar to
Exactly.
Phantasmi, because
Yeah.
you can just draw into them, assuming your opponent doesn't have Vanity's Emptiness style effect in
Sure.
play. But thankfully, Vanity's Emptiness is not in this format. So his opponent is reading Yellow Martin. This suggests that he has probably not encountered
Exactly,
the deck
it's
before.
the
This is
confirmation.
not a good sign.
Yeah.
Um,
Not a surprise, as we predicted that he might not know much about this deck.
We'll bring up Yellow Martin here
Sure.
because she does a lot of stuff. So if she's in hand or grave, you can target a Lunalight you control and return it to the hand, and if you do, special summon her. So she's similar to Blackwing Zephyr Steel
Yeah.
Leech, which we've already seen a bunch of today, and in the past, the card has also been very successful. Looks like we are searching our Lunalight trap card here. And also if she's sent from...
Yeah, because basically when it's sent by an effect, he can search a spell on trap Lunalight.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you discard it with a danger. And he just got the Lunalight Secret Dance.
Serenade
Serenade
Dance.
Dance, yeah.
Yeah, Serenade Dance up. These are all from Legendary Duelists 3.
Yeah.
Or Legendary Duelist 4 at
4.
this stage. Yeah, it's Sisters of the Rose. And again, like we mentioned, this deck was the deck that took YCS, Chicago.
Yeah, by Blast. So another dangers, discarding another Yellow Martin. So
So he won't get to search off that, I believe. But we have a Jackalope, we have an Essie. Do we have a Kaiju? We're gonna
I
Lunalight
think he
Perfume.
drew into another one. So Lunalight Perfume is probably one of the best cards in the deck, even
Right.
if not easily searchable.
It's the reason we played the deck, right?
Exactly.
So we can banish it, discard one, and add one Lunalight
Yeah.
from deck to hand.
On top of being a Monster Reborn, and it's not even once per turn. So it's really, really good.
Yes, the card has... Nowhere on the card does it say once per turn.
Exactly.
Kaleido Chick is an amazing card in the deck. It is probably what I would consider the most important monster. Martin is important, but
Yeah.
Kaleido Chick is what gets your engine going. It lets you send cards from your deck to the graveyard. It
Sure.
sends us cost, which means it's unaffected by Ash Blossom, which was super relevant earlier in the format when we didn't see many
Yeah.
hand traps being played,
Exactly.
because it dodged Ash Blossom.
Do you see a way he can get rid of the slot without
Um,
using his extra deck?
Currently, I'm not seeing anything on board.
Because he doesn't
it's
seem
just
to
passing
be able to, so he's just gonna pass back to Marcel.
It's very
Uh,
unfortunate.
Yeah, for everyone wondering, this is what's keeping Cormac in check right now. As any other Amorphage, Nerder player can special summon monster from the extra deck, and being a dragon, it's easily searchable by Guard Dragon LP, as well as being summonable by Pendulum Summon. So
It's also very high attack points.
yeah,
Realistically, if Nessie were a Thunderbird or a Bigfoot, then perhaps Cormac would have been able to play a bit more
Sure.
here and try to push through. But it's crazy how much access the Guard Dragons give to these toolboxy sort of effects.
Yeah.
And we see Gate Zero coming out. I think at this point in the game, it's probably not in Cormac's favor.
no, definitely not, because it's not like Sloth is going anywhere. He can use it. Like, I think he normal summon it. Yeah, he normal summon at the gate, but he's just able to Pendulum Summon the slot after
For sure.
if he can OTK right now.
I mean, he has Zephyr Metaltron, he has a bunch of stuff on board. I
Yeah.
think the game's ending this turn.
Definitely.
So, realistically, we see that Cormac has everything to resolve Azathoth if he wants in his side deck.
Yeah.
So, I'm expecting that... I don't see this game going beyond this turn, but I'm expecting us to have an interesting game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, but you never know.
Warlord Savage Dragon is
'Cause
getting rid of Nessie.
If he's not killing him, then a Kaiju could still be relevant, but
Yeah, he can still try
and he
to
doesn't
Kaiju
seem
for
like he did, so
Yeah. Cormac's still in it. He just needs to Destiny draw a Kaiju.
Sure.
Slam it down on the table.
Exactly.
There are a lot of negates on board. Okay. Marcel is checking his graveyard, seeing if he has anything he wants to use there. He's gonna Dragon.
He does use the Shrine, so he gets the
Spell
counters, yeah, on the Jackal.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
For people not familiar with Jackal King, he gains 2 counters every time a spell card is activated and resolves. And then he can remove 2 counters to negate the effect of a monster. Really strong card, I think.
Yeah.
If I were playing Pendulum at the moment, Jackal King would be one of the big payoffs in my mind.
I still have nightmares about this card being summoned in the Pendulum FTK last March. Yeah. It was actually in Germany, like the last YCS was Pendulum FTK meta. But yeah, anyway, Marcel takes the game convincingly, and this is what we were talking about. Cormac chose to go second, and there are a few decks that can punish you, and definitely Pendulum is one of them.
Yeah.
Especially Marcel version playing the Amorphous slot. And you know what? If you haven't followed Yu-Gi-Oh! In the last months, just summon something that say no card can be summoned from the extra deck. You'll be fine.
Yeah, we have a bit of a rock, paper, scissors there, right?
Yeah.
Because this sort of deck is really good against decks like Cormac's, where all of his toolbox and all of his answers to cards in game 1 are in his extra deck. Like, he's not maining Prankertops. Or sorry, he is actually maining Prankertops.
Yeah.
He's maining Prankertops and he's maining 3 Kaijus. He unfortunately didn't see them, but for the most part, his solutions are monster-based solutions.
Yeah.
And this is a deck that counters that.
Exactly. The thing is, there are also like the Fantastical Dragons, which are really good against the Amorphage. Because differently from Goliath, it's only 2200, so
yes,
you can attack over that. But, well, looking at the side decks, Marcel seems to be confused. I saw that he was thinking about like Sphere mode and stuff like that, so I don't even want to talk too much about him, because we can expect everything. He doesn't know the deck well.
Yes.
Something cool, though, that I want to mention is that he's siding Full Force Virus, which is really good against Lunar Light, even though they get a few effects. You can get rid of most of their monsters. And Cormac, on the other hand, as you said, the most important part of his side deck is the Phantom Knight engine.
Yes, he can bring in Lancia, he can bring in Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters seems reasonable.
Yeah, but Lancia,
no.
not so much.
Droll and Lockbird, not feeling that. Red
It's
Reboot if you're
decent,
afraid
but
of Evenly, but
do you
that's
think
not
Cormac
what
is
I'm
going
afraid of.
first? That's the question.
I think I would go first here, but it's really hard to tell. I think there's definitely an argument for just staying on second. Your opponent doesn't know your deck very well.
The thing is, like, it's a matter of like being focused, because if you think about the opening Marcel did, it summoned the Amorphage, sure, but you would have had 9 natural outs in your deck with like the Fantastical Dragon or just the Kaijus and afterwards the Punker drops.
For sure, for sure.
So maybe it's just that it was in your game, you know what I mean?
No, exactly. And there is that argument that, well, the Lunalight deck just plays better going second.
Exactly.
The Pendulum deck is less consistent than the Lunalight deck. So you just let him go first, hope that he stumbles, and then punish him for playing the kind of clunkier deck. But
yeah, he decides to go first, and it is probably because he can't know that his opponent is not very familiar with the deck, and there is a chance that he just opens with something like Dweller and Vortex, or any combination of cards that even if you drew a Kaiju, you're not that happy. And he's probably just trying to go for the Phantom Knight lock, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, ending on Outer Entity Azathoth against a Pendulum deck is a perfectly fine ending. The only thing that we can see Cormac getting punished for here is if he ends on 3 monsters, because his opponent will be able to Sphere mode before Cormac can activate the rank up magic. But it's possible that his opponent doesn't even know that that is an option.
True.
So-
We know that, like, for example, I remember Rafael, when he won the YCS, he actually played around the sphere mode and his opponent added.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if Cormac actually thinks the same way. Because to be fair, if you're familiar with Pendulum,
Yes.
like the typical side deck card is like sphere mode and lava golem. They're not really gonna play Entrap. So
Yeah.
lava golem you can't really do much about, but sphere mode, if you can, why not? So
One of the players Cormac tests a lot with, Luke, plays a lot of Pendulum.
yeah.
And so Cormac should be pretty familiar with Pendulum. And again, Pendulum doesn't care about its normal summon as much. It doesn't have Skulker Bat Joker
Exactly.
anymore. So it's more inclined to be happy to have sphere modes because
Yeah.
it's such a low cost.
And it seems like right now he is able to only play two
Yes.
monsters,
Yeah.
so I don't think he's gonna commit to another one.
Yeah, and this could be really backbreaking for his opponent because ending on this, he'll get to summon his Time Thief. Are we going to see him using it now, or will he wait? He's
He
going to
does.
use it now. Yeah, I think that's generally the correct option. He's asking, is activation okay? Opponent says that's fine. And Time Thief Redoer is a card that we're seeing again and again and again today. And I think it's probably my favorite card from the new set.
Yeah,
It's such an interesting...
definitely really cool.
Okay. And we should be getting to the stage where Redoer is going to return shortly. Oh, Martin's effect activates because she's sent by a card effect,
Sure.
which is kind of cute.
Again, for the same reason that Time Thief doesn't touch as cost. So
Exactly. Which is really interesting because I think it's one of... I don't think I can name another Xyz monster
yeah,
that detaches for effect as opposed to cost.
it's quite unique.
Yeah. It would have been really strong when Shaddolls were a deck. So they would get their
Indeed.
effects. Okay.
So he gets the Abyss Actor, and now what I'm thinking is you could go for an extender and just sphere mode your own monster and two of their monsters if you're that desperate, but
Yeah. The problem is once you play your extender, we're going to see rank up magic
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
it does. Azathoth is gonna come down.
Yep.
And
say no fun for you, sir.
exactly, it's gonna shut down all monster effects for Marcel this turn.
Yes. And then he's going to destroy the Curtain Raiser with his Phantom Knights.
Exactly.
Oh, he is targeting his own trap card.
Okay.
Okay, that's totally reasonable. It activates from the graveyard to special summon a Lunar Light monster. So, how are you feeling here if you were the Pendulum player? Do you think
Really
there's...
bad. I don't think there is too much you can do. As I said, the only thing you can probably do is fear mode and pray that he gets you there. Because it depends on the skill that he has. We should try and see. So he has Wisdom Eye, which helps. Because, I mean, compared to other decks, you're still able to Pendulum summon, even though if you're not using effects. So it's not like you're completely shut down. So, in his hand,
Can Sphere Mage tribute one of your own and two of your opponents?
yeah, I think it says from both fields.
It's summons to the field that you tribute 3 from.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you have to tribute 3 from the one side of the field. I'm not certain on that, but it is something that Marcel might not be sure on.
yeah,
either.
yeah, of course.
Sphere Mage is definitely a very impactful card.
Sure.
It's unfortunate that he's in a position here where he's going to have to Pendulum summon before he can even go into Link monsters. So he's not going to gain much value from the extra deck. If he can set up a...
But he's not in
He's
the
normal
worst scenario.
summoning Harmonizing.
Yeah.
And then he can Pendulum 4 or 5.
And now Phantasm is gonna come down, because remember, Azathoth only shut down your opponent effects.
So we're just discussing Phantasmi's
Yeah.
effect. Again, Phantasmi just putting in a lot of work this
Such
weekend.
a great card, yeah.
Yeah, so Cormac was just clarifying that Phantasme activates its effect.
Sure.
It's to summon and to draw are the same effect. So it happens before Electrum would have a chance to activate. Not that Electrum can
But Electrum
activate.
can't even activate, so
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Oath Dragon activating, and he is going
takes
to
back the Harmonizing.
Harmonizing Magician, yep.
Sure.
So, I mean, you can summon a bunch of large monsters here, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of push for damage.
You can go for a few monsters. It's not the end of the world, to be fair, but...
But it's still quite frustrating when you have to summon an Electromite for no effect.
Sure.
That is less than ideal for the Pendulum player.
But
So what do you think he's thinking on? What?
Marcel has this Amorphage slot in his hand,
Yes, he does.
so he has the option to just go for that, because Rusty is 21, right?
Rusty Bardice is
Yeah.
21. Yes, correct.
But no, he decides he only Pendulum Summon Chu, goes for
Summons
Babushka.
Baguska.
Sure.
So that's changing everybody to defense position.
Yeah.
And Baguska is actually really good against the Lunalite deck here. It's Baguska, I think we mentioned this earlier, but it's starting to see a lot more play this format than it has in previous formats. But this is one of the reasons why I would be more inclined to play something like the Orcust version of the kind of danger
Yeah.
FTK deck or OTK deck, because you're less prone to cards like this, and Baguska is being played for other decks in the format as well. So I think, you know, you probably have a 15% chance that your opponent is playing Baguska and has some way to get into it at the moment. So Cormac is summoning Kaleido Chick. We are reading Baguska. He drew a Lunalite Tiger for turn, it seems. What's your thoughts on Baguska?
It's okay. I don't think it is as good as it was in the past. So, the thing.
Were you playing it in your Pendulum list?
No, I wasn't. I
That's
just
because
think-
you dedicated space.
Yeah, I
for
did get
the-
space to have both Phantom Knight's engine.
Yeah.
So, but I would have played that Beast Dweller honestly instead of it in general, if I would play anything. I don't know. I think last turn there was a different line as well. I was just thinking about.
Yeah.
Which could have been just to use the Black Fang to halve one of Cormac monsters, and then maybe with this lot and another Link Summon, it could have been able to clear everything.
Yeah. You
So
see Unicorn coming down. Unicorn's probably going to spin Baguska.
yeah,
Yeah, and this is the thing with the Lunalite deck is, again, it's one of those decks where you just have so many cards that do stuff,
sure.
and you're able to Link Climb, and you're able to start clearing through the problem cards that you see on the board. We see a second Fire Formation, thank you.
Because yeah.
It's
I
kind
think the line could have been really good, because what I was thinking is if you would have gone for a Morphage slot, then you halve the Azathoth, then you go into a Synchro with the Harmonizing you have in hand, like a Bottle Load, for example.
for sure.
You're able to attack everything, because the slot clears the Rusty, then the Bottle Load clears the Phantasmal.
Yes.
And the Electrum clears the Azathoth with it was halved, and you end with a Bottle Load and the slot, which is really good.
I definitely would have committed everything I could to the board and tried to apply as
Because
much
we saw in
pressure.
game one that without the extra deck,
Cormac couldn't do anything.
struggles a
Yeah.
lot. So now he can just go for the Panther.
Saber Dancer, I believe.
Yeah.
They all have such similar
And yeah,
names, but yeah,
He
that
picks
is
up
game
his
one.
card. And, well, we go to game 3 by that, and we saw how easy it is for the Lunalite deck to be both an aggressor going second and more of a control deck going first, where you go into Azathoth trying to lock down your opponent. I'm still thinking about that play that Marcel could have gone for, which maybe would have been enough to win him the duel, but he has one more chance now. He's going first, and possibly, I'd say so. And
I mean, he seems to be pulling his sphere modes and Pankratops to the front. I mean, are you going first or second if you were playing here?
If I'm playing
as the Pendulum, yeah. I think you go first. Like,
it depends. It depends on your build, I'd say, because if you expect a lot of aid from Cormac, I wouldn't mind actually letting him go first. Because the thing is, when the Lunar Light is deciding, then it gets more complicated. But when you're the one deciding, you can expect Cormac to be siding in Kaijus, to be siding in Dino Wrestlers. And if you let him go first, there is even an extra chance that they open useless cards. So
there definitely is that argument, but I think we saw how impactful Azatoth was, that I wouldn't be inclined with this build. But
was it really impactful? Was that what I was saying is...
Sure.
He could have basically cleared the whole board and set up a slot. Sure, it drew into the one, but I mean, if... That's why you asked, what if it was you? If it was me, probably it would have been a different game. Now, if Marcel, though, like if I put myself in his shoes, then maybe he thinks, as you were saying, that Azatoth is really, really good.
Yeah.
And he might just pick first. I don't think he ever let Cormac go first, but let's see.
Sure. Two players deciding, making sure the side decks are right. It's something that I definitely like seeing at high-level play is not... You don't have to tell your opponent how many cards you're deciding. You just have to show that you have the same amount at the start and the end of deciding procedure.
Sure.
So I do love just kind of putting everything in.
Smoke signing,
often just taking the exact same cards out and just saying, yeah, here's my deck. Like, you know, there are certain things like that which will help you just gain an advantage in terms of your opponent has less information, and information is such a key part of the game.
Yeah, and then there is the next level, like I did with Foreigner in the 3rd and 4th place at Worlds, where we just decided to side in randomly without us even knowing about it. But I mean
that works too. You just shuffle everything in, take off the top 15, and you're good.
Exactly. It worked for me, I guess.
Okay, I'm excited to see how this goes.
Yes.
I'm looking for a good game of Yu-Gi-Oh! We see a full force virus in Marcel's hand.
A really good
Looks like he's going first.
Yeah. And I see a Shrine and a Desires, so this end looks already really, really good. And the full force virus, as we were saying, should be able to take most of Cormac Masters away. So it's just a matter of how he wants to play it.
Yep. And it's an interesting card to be playing because we have Full Force, we have Eradicator Epidemic, we have so many different ones. What do you think Full Force is trying to hit in the format here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely Lunar Light was one of the decks, but I mean, even against Salaman and a lot of decks, if you just play it correctly, is gonna be a blowout. The thing is, depending on the matchup, you just immediately flip it in the draw phase or you hold it.
For sure.
But it's definitely a really good card, and I saw a few Thunder Dragon players also using it.
Yeah.
So the hand is really good again. He has 2 extenders and Desires. And the good thing about this deck is that he doesn't really have any combo pieces outside of a Morphage slot.
For sure.
So Desires doesn't really hurt him much.
Yeah. So we see Cormac has a hand. He has a Pankratops. He has Phantasmi, so he seems like he was pretty sure he was going second here.
Sure.
His hand isn't actually hurt that much by Full Force Virus here. And he has the Lunalight Perfume, so he's able to recur his monsters.
Doesn't it, though? I think.
Lunalight Perfume will let him
Yeah. I
summon
mean, Lunalight, sure, but the other monsters, aren't they all or almost getting shred by it?
Because it's 1,500 or less defense.
Ah, no, okay. I thought it was 2,000 defense. Yeah, it's 2,000 that you have to tribute, sure.
Yeah. So it hits the small stuff.
Yeah,
it gets rid of Ray, which is quite good.
Sure.
But in this scenario, I believe everything except for... Oh, no. Pankratops has 0 defense. Thunderbird survives. But, you know, Pankratops is always just wanting to trade 1 for 1 for a card.
Yeah.
And so it kind of does that with the Full Force Virus anyway. Not the most noble use of a Pankratops, but you know.
No. But he does get a really good draw off the Desires, which is the Chronograph, yet another extender, so he's able to Electromite before normal summoning, which is a big deal.
We have a Phantasmi coming down,
Yeah,
which is also quite good for Cormac. It means that he has something on board that can clear slot. if it is
exactly. So
flooded
it
by-
makes it a priority, and it also allows him to look for Kaijus or anything else that's helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
There is a possibility that
Sure.
Thunderbird could be discarded at some point here. Like, Thunderbird and Jackalope can be used for Phantasmi if some sort of targeting effect is activated.
Yeah.
I can't really foresee one. But, again, we don't mind those cards being removed from the hand
For
as
sure.
much. And Jackalope actually dodges full force virus because it has 2k defense.
Yeah. It's a pretty big rabbit. So now he gets yet one more draw. He takes back the Wisdom Eye, and he gets the Pendulum Call, which is also quite a nice tool. He has everything he needs, so he just has to choose the combo. And of course, we didn't see what he banished with Pot of Desires, because maybe this lot is not even there anymore. And even if it was, he needs to find a way to clear the Phantasma in the first place.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this hinges on the slot, right?
Yeah,
And we don't know whether it's there.
exactly.
The suspense. So we see Purple Poison and Oath Dragon.
Sure.
Purple Poison is quite a good card here because it means that he has more protection from the Lunalights than you would normally have.
Yeah.
At least you can boost the attack of one of your monsters. Of course, Oath Dragon is probably just better to scale.
It's safe. So,
Oh, well, Black Fang will have the attack of Phantasmi unless Cormac wants to discard a card.
but it's only up until the end phase though. So
Okay, sure.
it's not super relevant. And the really cool thing about the Kali Yuga combo that he's not playing though is that with Pendulum Call you have your scale protected, so even if it does a Heavy Storm they don't get destroyed.
For sure.
Harmonizing comes down. He does play the one Xianke, which he didn't banish, luckily for him.
That's a really interesting card. It's one of those tech cards that goes in and out of
Yeah,
the Pendulum decks. And it gives him a level 7 so that he can summon...
yeah, the All
Vort-
Dice Absolute
Yes,
Dragon.
sure. So he's going to end with a Vortex. And Vortex can target Phantasmi and then negate its effect when it protects itself.
So he's going for the Zephyra,
Metaltron.
Metaltron. Then summoning, as you said, the Vortex, spinning back the Phantasmi.
Yeah.
Which should not negate, I'd say. Yeah, he doesn't. And now... so if he has the LP, he can do that.
Yes.
So it's gonna be
Does he
big
still
question
have
mark.
the slot in deck is the question.
It seems like he does.
This is not looking good for Cormac.
Let's see. He does. He uses its effect, unless he has some other dragons in his deck. So maybe just another. No, he does have the slot. So the best part of Desires of his life doesn't banish the only relevant card, and we're gonna see basically an even better combo than we saw in game 1. The only bad thing is that he can't get rid of the other Pendulum monsters, but now we have the full force virus as well.
Okay, so he tributes his Purple Poison Magician.
Yeah. And now, as we know, this gets rid of one of the outs, which was the
Pankratops.
the Pankratops. Yeah. Let's say.
So what is Cormac discarding? So he drew Overdone Burial.
Okay. So he's only
discarding 2 cards.
Yeah.
Which again, so he's losing the same amount of cards as his opponent is.
And now, basically, the most important card of this hand is the Thunderbird, which should get negated by Vortex if he tries, because if it resolves, then he can attack over the slot.
For sure.
So it's gonna be a danger game. Let's see.
We're activating Thunderbird.
You have to
Cormac
negate.
says, do you have a response? His opponent's thinking. Are we going to roll some dice?
Yeah, he does the correct thing. He negates the Thunderbird. He can't risk it. And now
Thunderbird is negated. I believe Cormac can still try to play true, because if he can get 2 Lunalights on board, he can tribute summon Phantasmi.
sure.
So he might have options
yeah.
there. And if he draws into another danger card, he can discard it.
Yeah.
Or he can...
He loses the perfume, which is not great, but
But he gets a bunny.
yeah.
You know,
And
that's the
maybe he gets
consolation
an
prize.
out. What does he draw? So what?
He's discarding Pancratops.
Oh, he
for
drew
Lunalight
it. Oh,
Perfume.
that's really unfortunate because he drew it off the danger, but full force virus forces you to discard,
Yes.
and that's really unfortunate for Cormac, because yeah, full force virus counts for 3 turns, just like Crash Card and Epidemic, and wow, Cormac must not be happy that he drew that off.
Just like Crush Card used to.
Yeah,
That's really unfortunate. So he has 2 cards left in hand. He has to find some way to add to this slot. He's looking at his graveyard, seeing if he has anything. He's able to Lunalight Perfume, discard 1, draw 1. Or it's
Yeah,
discard 1,
search,
search
yeah.
Lunalight. Yeah.
but again, like he has to search for the Pendulum, right? So he gets
I think
normal,
so.
but I don't see how he gets easily out of this situation, because the thing, as you say, is out is normal summoning the Phantasmal, but then
Well, yeah.
how do you...
That is an awkward position.
Like, you still lose a lot of resources to do that, so it's not easy to recover from that.
Yeah.
And by the
He's
way, there
summoning
are
Kaleido.
about 3 minutes left. So
Kaleido will send the other scale, I assume?
yeah.
Oh, it's sending Martin. Oh, he can return the Tiger to summon Martin, and then he has 3 monsters on board.
Yeah, he is a little bit. But
I don't know what he can do from here, though.
the thing is that to clear slot, he has to lose the battle phase. And even if he is able to do a little bit, that's not going to be easy. So he goes for the Phantasmo, and that's what I was saying. He's forced to attack over the slot now.
Yeah.
And now Marcel has to be careful about time, because that's the main way he loses this game.
Yes.
There
It's-
is not much time left, and
It's an interesting thing about the Lunalight deck that I think its main resource is probably its battle phase.
sure.
Like, the battle phase is so important to the deck because its identity is all built around what it's
Agreed.
doing during that period of time.
So Tiger gets pinned back, he gets another summon, and now,
So Tiger isn't once per turn.
yeah, it isn't.
So-
That's the craziest card of the deck.
It's
basically.
insanely good. Yeah. And even if you destroy it, it also has an effect.
Sure.
It's just super versatile, and it shows off the kind of redundancy that the deck has. He has 2 level 4s. He has Redoer, which he can make with them. He has other options. So I don't know. What do you think? Do you just go into a Redoer here, or do you try to do some sort of link shenanigans?
I don't think there is much you can do. You can try, but I mean, even if you redo, like, it's not like you can get any decent effect off it. I mean, if you get a spell, but you can't really pass on that because then Vortex is online again.
Yes, yeah. And Vortex is such a powerful card.
Yeah.
We see it coming back time after time. We're getting very close to time here. Speaking
Definitely
of
getting
which.
close. So I think that's what they are debating right now with the judges. So
We're discussing something about Kaleido Check. Okay, so we're sending the fusion monster.
I think, yeah, because he didn't send the fusion. Now he's gonna go into...
Time Thief Redoer. Does he have other 4s? I think he
I
has
think he has
another.
Dweller.
Oh,
Oh, no,
he's
yeah,
Tiger
of course,
King.
he has
Cool.
the Tiger King.
So Tiger King will let him search. Yeah, there's about 2 minutes remaining on the round. He's going to be able to search Tenki, and then Tenki will let him search more Lunalight cards. Does Tiger King's on-field effect have any impact here?
Not really, because everything is already been used, so he doesn't even need to detach, but he can. He's gonna do it most likely.
Yeah, well, when we see the Tiger, he's probably going to.
Yeah,
He's
he
Tiger
does.
King. And Kaleido Tick.
Because he needs to have, yeah.
Kaleido Tick is such a strong card in the deck. The fact that you can just keep sending cards every single time it's summoned. And so it sets its name to the card that you send.
Exactly.
So we're going to link 2 away. And
He goes for Daruma, which is able to pop one of the skills, but there is Pendulum Call, wasn't it? Or was it the last game? Let me check real quick. Pendulum Call.
There is a Pendulum Call in the graveyard, so
Was
it should not be able to
activated,
destroy. It
so-
should still destroy the Tiger anyway.
Yeah, and yeah, they catch up.
Yeah.
So it still destroyed the Tigers, but
It's a
Off
legal
Dragon
target
cannot be
if Dragon
destroyed.
stays. Kaleido Tick, he's back again.
And the Daruma is quite a cool tool. We have seen it in the past in like scapegoat decks, and it's actually also being played in some of the Salomon just because it's a fire link that can pop both back rows and scales.
It's really important for this deck because again, it lets you activate your Pendulum Scales and it lets
Exactly.
you simplify the board. And those are both things that you really want to be doing.
Yeah, because the cool thing is you don't get locked under your own scales, so it's quite useful in that sense. And he keeps going into a train of links.
Summoning
Bordersword comes down, and he just
Gonna
passes.
pass turn.
So now Marcel has to be quick about his decision. He has to deal with Bordersword, and it seems like he's quickly going into the Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion.
Yeah. Black Fang Magician is activated. Its effect activates to summon from the graveyard.
He
And
enters
Supreme
battle
King Dragon
phase,
is going to
attacks, and now even if
Bordersword switches
Bordersword
it to defense. Oh, and he forgets to use the effect of his dragon. That is time on round is called. That is the handshake.
time on the round is called.
And that is game.
We are already in the battle phase, so
I am not sure what's going on here. We're going to wait for clarification from
Yeah.
our judges. We're discussing what is after happening with World Sword. We're going to have to wait for confirmation on this. Really close match, considering what has happened.
yeah, it's
Like,
definitely a really close match. I'm surprised that he didn't negate with... okay, because... No, it is a dragon, so he could have gone into it. But he couldn't have not summoned... Because when LP is there, he can't summon, but... An handshake...
okay, so Marcel wins the game.
Yes. Marcel wins the game. It was, quite a surprise, but let's go into more detail in the post-match discussion.
Once again, we see
Yeah.
Amorphages really putting in work here. We've seen Goliath earlier in the day, and now we see Slot.
Exactly.
Now.
There are quite some old cards, but they're still seeing play because they're dragons.
Yes.
And we know that LP can summon any dragon from the deck. So we have seen these one-offs that just can be summoned consistently throughout the combos.
Yeah.
So even though Marcel walked into the future match saying he didn't really prepare well for this event, he found his own combo with the Pendulum deck with new cards, and it seems like it's working out for him. These players were on the bubble, so unfortunately it should be the end for Cormac.
Yeah.
But it still showed up how Lunalight was able to win YCS Chicago. It's definitely a very good deck. It was even more when unexpected, but he can play both as second trying to OTK and as first with the rank up lock.
And as we saw, if it were not prevented from summoning from extra deck, it could have dealt with the interactions from things like Vortex Dragon. Like, it doesn't care about 1 or 2 negates. It's just when you have those hard locks that it starts to struggle. And that's why we're seeing Lunalight performing less well at this event than it did at Chicago. Because we see a shift towards things like there can be only one. We see Gozen and Rivalry much more common. And then we also see the Morphages, which the Guard Dragons have given us a lot more access to.
Yeah, the thing, to be fair, we have to say in game 1 it was a little unfortunate for Cormac because he didn't see any of his out. He had Kaijus and already the Dino Wrestlers. But in game 3, what actually won the game was the Full Force Virus in the end. Because if it wasn't for Full Force, Cormac actually had access to 2 Dino Wrestlers.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he drew one off the danger when he was already under the virus, but it happens. There are a few targets in the deck, and that's why Marcel plays it. But I'm sure we can ask more about it with Oliver. So let's just go to the interview.
Here we are back again on the main event stage. We got our winner who's still in the tournament. Marcel, congratulations.
Thank you.
So it was a bit of confusion for the viewers on the stream, a bit hard if we can't hear what's being said at the table.
Yeah.
Can you run us through it again one more time? What happened in the timeout? So you were basically rushing to go into battle phase.
Yeah. A few seconds before the timeout, I used Black Fang to reduce Boltzroth's attack, and then I wanted to play it really fast because I think there were 2, 3, 5 seconds on the clock, and I summoned Xiangse and then tried to attack, but I realized after then the Guard Dragon says I can only special summon dragons, so I tried to say...
So basically the judges rewinded at that point. They said we have to go back to the last point in time where everything was legal. So the monster was basically going back to your hand, but you're still allowed to go to the battle phase, and you still had enough damage on the board.
Yeah, I had. If I had a few more seconds, I could do more things. I could the vortex and attack position, and yeah.
Well, but sometimes it's eyes closed and go to battle phase when time is running out. So first things first, I think you need to calm down a little bit. You're still shaking, basically. I can see that. So you have that win now. You're still in the tournament. What does that feel like, especially with all those people watching?
Nothing special, I guess. To be honest, I'm sorry for my opponent that I summoned the Xiangse. I didn't want to do that. So
I mean, he's one of the nicest guys. In fact, all of the Irish players that we had in our feature matches, very often very nice guys. So what was it like during the match? Was it very different communicating over those headphones?
No, I think it was okay. Nothing.
All right. Okay. So after this match, you now won this. How happy are you right now with your deck choice?
To be honest, I just play Pendulum because it's the only deck from what I really can play. I don't know everything about the new decks, so I think the deck choice is for me okay. For the tournament, I don't think so.
Okay, so you wouldn't recommend it for anybody else. Okay, if you could change anything about your deck at this point in time, I mean, you've played a couple of rounds. Yeah. What would it be?
I'm not pretty sure, to be honest. Changing the side deck a little bit.
Mm-hmm. What would you do there?
3-4 cards aren't do anything, so I have to cut them. And maybe cut 1 or 2 main deck cards because you want to see the side deck.
All right. So you have some takeaways from this tournament, but I mean, you said it's not your first choice. But we might be seeing you again at some of the later tournaments this year, right?
I hope so.
You hope so. We hope so too. Right. So thank you very, very much indeed. Let's hope to see you again tomorrow. It's one more match today.
Yes.
How are you going to focus for the last match?
Maybe sleeping more than 2 or 3 hours.
That sounds like really good advice. Speaking of the last match for today and then the first match for tomorrow, because of our special situation with running 2 events at the same time and the location of the fair in Düsseldorf, which is at the very last stop of one of the public transport subway lines, tomorrow we're going to not be starting at 9 a.m. like we usually are starting. Tomorrow morning we're going to be starting at 9:30, so that gives you the chance to sleep a little bit longer than usual. So that's one of the changes that we need to do to adjust for the special situation with those 2 events. Also, I can now confirm that YCS Düsseldorf 2, that is today taking place in the Hilton, 40 minutes away from us, is tomorrow going to be taking place in this very same venue. So there is a chance that we can be alternating feature matches from the first event and from the second YCS, both taking place in the same city. Some people said we should just call it YCS Battle City at this point. I'm up for more suggestions. I like this one. And obviously all the puns keep coming. Somebody said we cast multiplier or mesh and duplication, basically tournament duplication on this tournament at the start of the day. So feel free to create some memes with that stuff. I hope you guys have some input now. With that, we're going to take the last break of the day, and then it's going to be crunch time one more time. It's going to be round number 9, the last round of Swiss for today, after which we're going to be performing a very, very big cut and shrinking that field, if we're sticking with card names, down to just something like 400 players for our event tomorrow. So with that said, guys, we're going to take a very short break. It's the last for us, so please give us a little bit of time, and then we're going to be right back with our last feature match for the